Every morning when we wake up, we charge our phones, but we forget to recharge our own life. We keep carrying yesterday's mistakes, old habits, old pain, and old fears like a heavy bag. But tell me, how can you walk freely into a new future if you are chained to your old self? It's time to press Delete E on the old version of you and step into the life you are meant to live. My friends, life is not about who we were yesterday, but about who we are choosing to become today. Just like a phone app that slows down when it's outdated, our life too becomes heavy when we don't upgrade ourselves. God has given us the most powerful tool, the ability to change. We can delete what no longer serves us and rewrite the story of our life. This is not about changing the world outside, it's about changing the world inside. Imagine for a moment that your life is like a garden. Every single day you plant something in it, through your thoughts, your words, your actions, and your habits. Now, think carefully. What kind of seeds have you been planting in your garden? If the seeds are of laziness, procrastination, endless scrolling on the phone, gossip, or wasting time, then it is no surprise that the harvest you get in your life is regret, disappointment, and missed opportunities. But if the seeds are of discipline, patience, consistency, kindness, and learning, then the harvest is success, respect, growth, and fulfillment. The truth is simple: life does not give us what we want, it gives us what we repeatedly do. That is why it is so important to delete old habits and create new disciplines. Think about how we all start the day. Many of us wake up and the first thing we do is grab our phone. We scroll, check messages, look at social media, and before we realize it, half an hour has passed. That half an hour, repeated every day for a month, is 15 wasted hours of life, hours that could have been used for something powerful like exercise, reading, meditation, prayer, or even spending quality time with family. The small habits don't look dangerous at first, but over time they steal the greatest treasure we have, our time. That is why old habits must be deleted, not tomorrow, not next year, but today. Let me give you a daily life example. Imagine a young student preparing for exams. Every evening he says, "I will start tomorrow." He opens his books, but then gets distracted by YouTube, by games, by friends. This becomes a habit. By the time exams arrive, he feels unprepared and anxious. He blames bad luck, but the truth is it was not luck, it was his habits. Now think of another student who also loves distractions, but decides to make a small discipline. Every day 1 hour of focused study before anything else. That 1 hour grows into 2, and by the time exams come, she feels confident. People call her lucky, but it was not luck, it was discipline. In life, what separates people is not their intelligence, but their habits. Our habits shape our character. If someone lies once, it is a mistake. If someone lies daily, it becomes their nature. If someone works hard once, it is effort. If someone works hard daily, it becomes their identity. Old habits that weaken us must be deleted, because if they are not deleted, they become chains that tie us down. And creating new discipline is like sharpening a sword. At first it feels uncomfortable, but with time it gives you the power to cut through obstacles. People often say, "I don't have motivation." But motivation is like fire. It burns bright but fades quickly. Discipline is like wood. It burns steadily for a long time. A person who relies only on motivation will give up when things get tough. But a person who relies on discipline will keep going, because discipline does not ask, "Do I feel like it?" Discipline says, "I will do it anyway." Think of exercise. The motivated person goes to the gym when they feel inspired. The disciplined person goes even when it rains, even when they feel tired, even when they don't feel like it. Over months, the disciplined person becomes stronger, healthier, and more confident. Look at the greatest achievers in the world: athletes, artists, spiritual leaders, entrepreneurs. None of them are born extraordinary. They become extraordinary through disciplined habits. An athlete doesn't train only when he feels like it. He trains daily. A musician doesn't practice only when she is in the mood. She practices daily. Even a saint or a monk doesn't meditate only when life is peaceful. They meditate daily through all storms of life. Discipline builds excellence, and excellence builds destiny. But here is the challenge: deleting old habits is not easy. The mind resists, it whispers, just one more time, just one more day. And many people fall into that trap. But remember, every just one more time is another brick in the wall of your old self. If you want freedom, you must break that wall. And breaking it requires courage. When you delete an old habit, it feels uncomfortable at first, like learning to walk after years of crawling. But the discomfort is temporary, the reward is permanent. Practical steps help. Replace, don't just remove. If you delete the habit of wasting time on social media, replace it with reading an inspiring book. If you delete the habit of staying up late, replace it with waking up early and spending that time in silence or prayer. If you delete the habit of complaining, replace it with gratitude. By replacing, not only do you break the old pattern, you create a new one that uplifts you. My friends, ask yourself today, what old habits are stopping you from living your highest potential? Is it laziness, anger, comparison, procrastination, or negative self-talk? Whatever it is, press delete. Don't carry it into your tomorrow. And then ask yourself, what new disciplines can I create today that will make my future stronger? Even a small discipline, repeated daily, has the power to change your entire destiny. Because in the end, you don't decide your future, you decide your habits, and your habits decide your future. Delete the old ones, create the new ones, and watch how life transforms. If fear is like a shadow, it looks bigger than it really is, and the more we run away from it, the longer it stretches behind us. Every human being, no matter how strong they appear, feels fear. Fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of rejection, fear of loss, fear of the unknown. But here is the truth: fear is not the enemy, our reaction to fear is the enemy. When we choose to let fear control us, we shrink. When we choose courage, we grow. To delete old fears and step into courage is to reclaim our power, to look at the shadow and say, "You cannot stop me anymore." Think of a small child learning to walk. The child falls again and again. If fear controlled the child, it would never walk. But the child doesn't care about falling. It keeps trying until walking becomes natural. The same child, years later, grows up and suddenly starts fearing people's opinions, fearing failure, fearing mistakes. Isn't it strange? As children, we are fearless explorers, but as adults, we become prisoners of our own thoughts. Courage, then, is not something we need to create, it is something we need to rediscover. The same courage we had when we took our first steps. Daily life is full of situations where fear appears. Imagine a young woman who has a talent for speaking. She has ideas, she has words that can inspire, but every time she stands up to speak in front of people, her heart races, her palms sweat, and fear whispers. What if they laugh at you? What if you forget your words? What if you fail? Because of that fear, she stays silent. Another year passes, another opportunity lost. Now imagine the same woman saying, "Yes, I am afraid, but I will speak anyway." She steps up, her voice trembles, but she continues. The audience listens. She realizes that the fear was only in her mind, not in reality. That single moment of courage changes her forever. This is how courage works. It does not mean the absence of fear. It means moving forward despite fear. A courageous person feels fear but does not bow to it. Fear says, "You cannot." Courage answers, "Watch me." Fear is a gatekeeper to growth. Every time we face it, we unlock a new level of strength inside us. Take another example. A man working in a company dreams of starting his own business. His mind is full of ideas, but his heart is full of fear. Fear says, "What if you fail? What if people laugh? What if you lose money?" And so he stays in the same job year after year, unhappy but safe. One day he decides to delete that old fear. He says, "I may fail, but failure is not the end. It is only feedback. I may lose money, but I will gain experience. I may be judged, but people's opinions cannot feed my soul." With this courage, he starts, stumbles, learns, grows, and finally builds something meaningful. Later, when people call him successful, they don't realize that his success began the day he deleted fear, not the day he made money. Fear is often built from our past experiences. Maybe we failed once and now we fear failing again. Maybe someone laughed at us once and now we fear being mocked again. Maybe we lost once and now we fear losing again. But life is not meant to be lived through old wounds. Courage is choosing to walk again even after falling. Courage is saying, "Yes, the past hurt me, but the future is still waiting for me." Notice how fear magnifies in the mind. A student about to give an exam imagines every worst case scenario. What if I forget everything? What if I get the hardest questions? What if I fail? In reality, when the exam comes, it is never as terrifying as the imagination made it. This is the secret. Fear lives in the mind more than in reality. Courage is stepping beyond the exaggerations of the mind and facing the truth. So how do we delete old fears? We replace them with small acts of courage. If you fear speaking, speak a little more each day. If you fear rejection, face it once and see that it does not break you. If you fear trying something new, take one step at a time. Each act of courage weakens fear's grip. Slowly, fear loses its power and courage becomes your habit. Remember, courage is contagious. When one person shows courage, it inspires others. Think of a family where one member has the courage to chase their dream. Suddenly others feel, "If they can, maybe I can too." Courage is like fire. It spreads and lights up the darkness around it. My friends, fear will always knock on the door, but you decide whether to let it in. Delete the old fears that have kept you trapped for years. Step into courage even if your voice shakes, even if your knees tremble. Because on the other side of fear is freedom, and on the other side of courage is the life you truly deserve. Anger is like fire. If it is controlled, it can give warmth, light, and energy. But if it is uncontrolled, it burns down everything: relationships, opportunities, peace of mind, and even our health. Many people think anger is power, but in truth, uncontrolled anger is weakness. It shows that the mind has lost balance. To delete old anger and choose inner peace is to choose freedom. Because when anger controls us, we are no longer free, we become slaves to our emotions. Think about daily life. You are driving and someone cuts you off on the road. Your heart races, your blood boils, and in a moment of anger, you shout, honk, or even chase the other car. Later, you realize that the other driver has gone, but your peace has gone with him. The anger may last minutes, sometimes hours, and in some cases, even days. The other person has forgotten the incident, but you still carry it in your heart like poison. This is the danger of anger. It punishes us more than it punishes the other person. Now think of another example. At work, your colleague criticizes you unfairly. Instantly, you feel insulted and your mind begins to burn with anger. You plan revenge, or you shout back. The office atmosphere becomes tense. Your productivity drops, and others look at you with discomfort. But imagine if, in that same moment, instead of reacting with anger, you paused, took a deep breath, and responded with calmness. You say, "Thank you for your opinion, I'll reflect on it." Suddenly, the situation changes. The colleague is surprised, the atmosphere remains peaceful, and most importantly, you remain in control. This is not weakness, this is true strength. Anger has many faces. Sometimes it is loud shouting, sometimes it is silent resentment, sometimes it is a sharp word, and sometimes it is cold silence that hurts more than words. No matter the form, anger steals our inner harmony. Medical science even shows that constant anger increases blood pressure, weakens the heart, and shortens life. Spiritual wisdom shows that anger clouds judgment, destroys compassion, and distances us from love. Why then do we hold on to anger? Because we mistakenly believe it gives us power. But in reality, anger is like holding a burning coal in your hand, waiting to throw it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned first. Choosing peace does not mean we never feel anger. It means we learn to manage it, to redirect it. A wise person does not let anger spill out like boiling water, but channels it into positive action. For example, if you are angry about injustice, instead of screaming at the world, you can work to correct it, to help people, to make a change. In this way, anger becomes fuel for transformation rather than destruction. In families, anger is often the silent killer of love. A parent shouts at a child in frustration, and the child grows distant. A husband and wife argue in anger, and slowly walls are built between them. Over time, these walls become so thick that even love struggles to pass through. But when peace is chosen instead of anger, those walls are never built. Imagine a couple where one partner gets angry, but the other remains calm and says, "I understand you are upset. Let's talk later when we are both calm." The anger dissolves, the conversation becomes healthier, and love is preserved. That is the power of inner peace. It protects relationships. There is a story of two monks walking by a river. They see a woman struggling to cross. One monk, despite his vow of avoiding contact, carries her across on his back. Later, the other monk becomes angry and says, "Why did you carry her? You broke our rule." The first monk smiles and replies, "I carried her for 5 minutes, but you have been carrying her in your mind for hours." This is the nature of anger. We keep carrying things long after the moment has passed. Inner peace means learning to put things down. In daily life, small practices can help. When anger rises, pause before speaking. Breathe deeply, count to 10, or even walk away for a moment. This small gap between feeling and reacting is where peace is created. Another practice is forgiveness. Forgiveness does not mean the other person was right. It means you choose not to poison your own heart. By forgiving, you are not setting the other person free, you are setting yourself free. Remember, peace is not weakness. It is the greatest strength. It takes courage to stay calm when provoked, to smile when insulted, to remain silent when others shout. The peaceful person is not powerless. They are powerful in a deeper way because they control themselves while others are controlled by anger. So, my friends, delete the old anger you have been carrying for years. The anger at your parents, your colleagues, your neighbors, your friends. It is only eating your peace, not theirs. Choose inner peace, because peace is not a gift from outside, it is a choice you make within. And the more you choose peace, the stronger, healthier, and happier your life becomes.